Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for our first star panel of the day. Banking the unbanked for inclusive growth with top financial institutions in the country. The formal credit to the MSME sector is increasing year on year, with lenders taking several steps to find alternative ways to offer institutional credit to the sector. However, it is important to note that according to the government data, less than 40% of 6.34 crore MSMEs in the country borrow from the formal financial system. Also, over 90% of the MSME sector is still informal in nature. To delve more deeply into how the lenders are working towards the agenda of small businesses, financial inclusion in the country, let me quickly introduce our speakers and welcome them on the dais. Our first panelist is Ms. Archana Pandey, who spearheads regional rural banks, rural self-employment training institutes, financial inclusion and corporate social responsibility initiatives at Bank of Baroda. In her career spanning over 25 years, she has worked in a wide variety of roles spanning branch operations, credit, human resources, and learning. Archana is a qualified chartered accountant and a certified in IT and cybersecurity by the Institute of Development and Research in Banking Technology. Please join us, ma'am. Our next speaker is Gursharan Rai Bansal, Chief General Manager and Chief Sales Marketing Officer at the India Post Payments Bank, where he handles planning, development and execution of marketing, sales and distribution, products, business development through government and enterprise channels, branding and corporate communication. He has more than 3 decades of experience with organizations in banking, financial services and insurance sectors such as MetLife, Way2Wealth Securities, Kotak Mahindra Finance, amongst others across various geographies in India. Please join us, sir. Then we have with us Mr. Ravi Tyagi, Chief General Manager, Small Industries Development Bank of India, also called as SIDBI. Mr. Tyagi heads the digital initiatives and corporate strategy verticals at SIDBI, the principal financial institution for MSMEs. He has more than 25 years of experience in debt and equity financing in the MSME sector. He was head of the SME exchange of the National Stock Exchange, and the exchange became operation under his supervision. Please welcome him up on the stage. Our next speaker is Mr. Sadaf Sayeed, CEO, Muthoot Microfin. Sadaf has led the company to become one of the largest NBFC MFIs in the country, managing over rupees 8,500 crore assets under management and catering to 2.6 million rural households. He has over 19 years of experience in the banking and financial service industry. Please join us, sir. And to moderate the panel, may I invite Dr. Gayathri Parthasarathy, India Financial Services Sector Leader and Global FS Technology Leader, PwC. Gayathri has over 30 years of experience in the financial services sector. She has been the lead partner on strategy and transformation projects for a large number of financial institutions. Gayathri has in-depth experience in leading large multi-jurisdictional and complex programs, sourcing and offshoring projects. Please join us, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
So, very good afternoon, and the tone was set at the top in terms of what are we looking at right in this session. I'm happy to see a full hall. Always it gives you happiness, right, in any kind of sessions like this. The topic given to us is a very interesting one, and we are the first one. And I'm exceedingly delighted to have the panelists from a variety of, right, in terms of segments in financial services, right? So very delighted for that, and delighted for this opportunity to address all of you as well. So obviously, without delaying, we'll start on banking the unbanked for inclusive growth. Actually, inclusive growth really means in terms of, right, in terms of how do we do? A lot of things have been done under in motion by the country and by various public, private sectors and all the institutions in the country, by the government, by the prime ministers, programs, a variety of things that are happening in terms of banking the unbanked and also trying to reach the inclusive growth. But if you have to really erase the inequality and provide the kind of what we heard in the opening remarks. How do we give easy and approachable credit access and provide economic growth in the country in a seamless way? How do we do financial inclusion for inclusive growth while we are doing the necessary act, which is banking the unbanked? But is that sufficient enough? It's a mathematical equation. It is not. It is necessary but not sufficient. Sufficient enough will be when we really look at inclusive growth, so we really touch the last mile and we really take care of the economic growth across the country to the roots where we really need to provide this credit. That's with that kind of a opening remark, I would be requesting my panel members, right, in terms of each one of them to share. So, Madam and Sirs, very, very good morning, good afternoon rather. Since each one of you come from a very different space in the financial services, right? And overall in the ecosystem, the kind of roles you play also are very different. From a bank to a payment bank to SIDBI to a NBFC, we have almost multi-segments here, right? Would like to hear from you, for me and for the audience behalf, right? What are some of the successes that you've seen in financial inclusion in your sector and how you have achieved, right? And what you plan to do next. Over to you. In any order, I would like to start. Yeah. Absolutely. Madam Archana, over to you first.
Thank you, Gayathri. A very good afternoon to one and all. It's a very, very interesting topic. And when I looked at the topic and the subtopics under it, I found that it's such beautifully it has been designed. And thank you for this first question, ma'am. So if we talk about financial inclusion and how we stand in the sector as we speak, so we started talking about financial inclusion per se, maybe some 15 years ago. But initially the movement was a little bit slow. But once the more committee recommendations came, a very structured guidance was provided. So what were the more committee recommendations is talked about providing accounts to the unbanked people. Then it also talked about what kind of products and services we have to provide. Then what kind of accessibility has to be given, how close it has to be. Then what in terms of next level of products like insurance products, etc., investment products, etc., how we have to give, and by how we have to have a complaint redressal, because any kind of service will be incomplete unless we have a complaint redressal system. So from that day till today, we have moved far ahead, though there is still a long way to go, but still I would say RBI in 2017 decided to work upon a financial inclusion index, though for the first time it was released in 2021. So in 2021, the index was somewhere around 55%. Now it has moved to 56.6% approximately. Now, how this financial inclusion index is designed, this is very beautifully designed. So what it says is, access to financial services, only 35% weightage is given. Services or usage, higher percentage of 45% is given. 20% weightage has been given to the qualitative aspect. So I am really happy to share that in the access side, the scoring goes to around 76%. So it is the usage and the quality side where the achievements are little on the lower side. So when we talk about these 76% achievement on the access side, how we have been able to achieve that? So 48 crores Jan-Dhan accounts, and if you look at these Jan-Dhan accounts and look at the balances, average balances in these accounts, the average balances in these accounts are way above the expenditure which the people make in terms if we talk about the poverty line, and the balances are many times more than the people who spend as defined what is the poverty line. So we have to go beyond the poverty line, that's for sure. But at least on the access side, a lot has been done. So look at the network. If you look at the network of banking services which provide access to these unbanked people, there are some 7 lakh plus outlets, fixed outlets. So sometimes we are not able to look at these numbers. Fixed location outlet, more than 7 lakh in numbers. So if we translate into number of, in terms of the population being served with against this, how much is the population? 140 crore population. More than 14 years age group, what is the population? Around 104 crore population. 35 crore people are such who are transacting digitally. If we exclude them, because they don't need access at their, for the fixed fees, they are tech savvy. So that leaves us to 69 crores of population. So per banking outlet or a outlet which can provide financial services, the number comes to, I would say, below 1,000. So access part is very well taken care of in terms of bank accounts, I would say. This is the first step. So unless and until people have bank accounts, further layering of services cannot be done on that. So products and services, so this part is almost, I would say, more than 80% people have been saturated with account opening. And I'm really concerned that there is no data to prove how many people are unbanked, because no unique ID has been created and the links have been created. I mean, linking has been done to that. Now is the question of usage and the quality. Usage, now usage in terms of when we talk about usage, the products and services, the next level of products and services, which is about insurance product, talking about insurance product, talking about investment products, talking about credit, all these comes in picture, and the grievances redressal as far as the quality of services being rendered is concerned. So I would say we have come a long way, but we have still to go a far way. But I would say a lot of things have been put in place, like PayPin ecosystem. India Stack has done wonders for it. So when we look at more recommendation, a lot of recommendations are redundant these days because of the digital adoption which has happened over the period. So thank you, ma'am. This I will not take much more time. So a lot of way we have to move. And
thank you, ma'am. Sadaf, your views on from your sector perspective in BFC.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think Archana ma'am covered a lot of the macro aspect initiatives that the government has taken. I'll talk more about from the industry perspective that I represent the microfinance industry. So Gayathri ma'am, you asked that what are the success stories in microfinance space or in the financial inclusion space. So microfinance is one such success story. And see, financial inclusion, when we talk about, we don't talk about only opening a bank account or only giving a loan. We are talking about giving bank access, giving credit, giving insurance, giving remittance, and then financial literacy. It's a whole suite of products that need to be offered. Yes, we have built a successful model, a replicable model. We have now almost 6.5 crore households which are getting microfinance loans. We have around 1 lakh branches spread across the country, covering around 6 lakh villages where these micro loans are provided. The model that we have cracked is the joint liability group model, which is a modification of the Grameen model, which is popular in Bangladesh, but suiting to the Indian context because largely the NBFCs are not allowed to take deposits. So we don't take deposits, but we provide all the services in terms of we provide credit, we provide intermediate insurance, remittance in a way that we are doing, but most important is the financial literacy, which we work on. I think as Archana ma'am also said, a lot has to be done. I think we have moved from financial inclusion. I come from a state, our company is from Kerala. It's financially included state, one of the most financially included states. So I think we have covered one leg of it, but now the time has come that we focus on digital inclusion. So what we are today facing is people have the bank account because of the government initiative of Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and mobile. The Jam Trinity has really enabled us to take the credit and all the loan facility to the last mile. So the banking aspect has reached them, but to help them to transact and to utilize those facilities, there has to be a financial literacy and there has to be a digital literacy. I think that is where we are. As an organization, we focus on customers like taking initiative to pay digitally. So industry, which was earlier disbursing all the loans in cash, is now a 3 lakh crore or a 4 lakh crore disbursement were happening in cash. Now almost 90% happens digitally directly into the customer's bank account. And very rapidly, we are also moving into digital collections, where collection from the field of is collected in digital format. And at our institution level, we have already reached a 34% digital collection level. So a lot of initiatives have done to kind of limit my time here. I would say that reach is one success story that we have created. And enabling credit to the last mile is one success story, and a successful replicable model that we have created, that is one. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I think you said the most beautiful one word on digital inclusion. And I think that is where the country has to move next, right? If you have to say what next, I think you absolutely defined it in, kind of one definition. Thank you for that, staff. Gurushan sir, your views and thoughts, please.
Yeah, thank you, Gayathri. And it's a real pleasure to be amongst all of you learned people over here. And I would like to share my thoughts and the journey which India Post Payment Bank has had over the last 5 years. And actually, just about 4.5 years we have completed since the launch of India Post Payments Bank on 1st September 2018 by Honorable Prime Minister of India. And in fact, all of you know that India Post has been a financial, small savings bank options provider right into the rural areas, and it has got one of the largest networks of the distribution or the small savings provider in the rural areas since the beginning, and since last 150 years of its existence. Now the network has expanded to 1,55,000 branches or post offices across India, out of which 1,30,000 are in the rural areas, which is basically 90% or 85 to 90% of the network is in the rural areas, almost covering one post office in every 5 villages, right? So approximately 6.5 lakh villages are there, and almost 1,30,000 post offices are there. So the network is very widely spread and strategically positioned. And earlier, now where does the success of India Post Payment Bank comes in terms of the financial inclusion? The fact is that the India Post has traditionally been a paper-based bank, and you would be delighted to know that India Post Payment Bank is a 100% paperless bank. We have opened 6.75 crore accounts till now, and not even a single paper, So we are a green bank, totally 100% green bank. And out of the 5 pillars of financial inclusion, the 5 pillars are investment should be there, savings should be there first, then option to invest, option to insure, option to remit, and option to take credit. So these are the 5 pillars. So in the payments bank, as you all know, they cannot offer investments and the credit, right? So, but on the other 3, we've done fairly well in terms of the digital accounts. We have covered across India 6.75 crore accounts, and almost 50% are women. And the fact of the matter that the Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile trinity has helped us to open an account even at a small little cost of just 3 rupees. Less than 3 rupees we open an account. In a traditional account, bank, it costs around 500 to 600 rupees just to open the account, getting the papers, getting them signed, then, the photograph and everything has to be provided, then it goes, then it comes back, and etc., etc. So it takes a lot of effort and time, and as well as, but here the account gets opened with just a little cost of around 3 rupees, less than 3 rupees, and we are just giving a small little physical collateral of a QR card, which is instantaneously issued to the person with an account number and IFSC code and customer care number, toll-free number, SMS banking number, etc., etc. All that is written on that card so that he has an access. So this is the change that we have brought about. Now, in terms of the investment, so the other pillars that we are coming, we have tied up with the third-party players, for the mutual funds, we have tied up with an aggregator. So there is an option of investment that the customers can have, and they can, do small little savings of 300, 400, 500 rupees, and through an SIP in a mutual fund, and also participate in the capital formation of the country. And in fact, you would be delighted to know that mutual funds, the kind of response now, or the SIPs and the investments which are coming from tier 3, 4, 5, 6 is much, much more. And the new customers which are getting onboarded, again, this is a 100% digital process. Even the KYC or the CYL KRA, which happens, it can be done digitally in a matter of 5 to 10 minutes, and the person can start investing in the mutual funds. Similarly, on the credit side, now we are working with various banking partners like Axis Bank, HDFC Bank. We have tied up with various NBFCs like Aadhar Housing or Home First and Aditya Birla Finance Limited, etc. And we have now come up with an open network kind of a technology. We are developing that, and also another technology wherein we have tied up on one end with the financial information providers, FIP and FIU. The concept of OCEN is, on the one side, there are financial information providers, FIPs, from any of the banks, the information about the customer's banking background can be picked up. And then there are financial information providers, like any of the lenders who can provide a quotation for the credit which the customer has demanded. So let us say some bank provides at 8.5%, other bank provides at 9.5% or 10.5%, and then thereby the customer can have a choice. So it is a bridge between the FIP and FIU, and it's an aggregation platform over there. So we are tied up with that, and we are coming up with an app called Rin Setu. So although, because we cannot offer the rent directly or the credit directly, so we have come up with that kind of a option for the customers, and thereby we are offering. We have just started that, and the testing and CUG testing, etc., is going on. But we are very hopeful that we'll come up and bridge that space also. And the other thing, ma'am, which you were telling about in terms of the financial information reach, or the this thing. So you will be happy to know that almost 96% of the bankable people today, they have a bank account, right? So because of Jan Dhan Aadhaar and banks like India Post Payment Bank, or as sir has said, so a lot of people now, they have a bank account. But then now what we are working on is a concept called ETDBW. ETDBW, this is a concept given by a writer, a famous writer called Michael Hammer, who has written the Re-Engineering the Corporation book also. It's called Easy to Do Business With. So what happens is that the customer will access the banking facility or investment facility or insurance facility only and only if he is finding it very easy and comfortable to do business with. Like, for example, now our postman can do most of the 99.9% transactions at the doorstep. So a lady who doesn't want to travel all the way to the bank, she can just get the same services right at the doorstep. So thereby, this facility is, we are working on the ETDBW so that, people can transact more and more. And just to also help you understand that we have now the UPI facility. We also have a digital merchant onboarding facility wherein a merchant can be onboarded, instant QR can be issued to him within a matter of 2 minutes. We give him cashbacks for digital transactions, and so that there is a digital ecosystem in the village, right? So we offer him an incentive to transact digitally, and the first 10 transactions we give him, say 20-25 rupees cashback, so that he transacts digitally, and there is a digital ecosystem so that the person need not have to withdraw cash. He can simply go to the Kirana store and buy his dal chawal from there digitally also. So now on the UPI transactions also, ma'am, in the month of March we did around 25 crore transactions, wherein the top was PhonePe, which did around more than 400 crore transactions, and Paytm did 165 crore transactions. So we are around 14th in the rank, and thereby we are growing on a day-to-day basis. Especially we are trying to work in the rural areas, wherein we are trying to grow the digital transactions and enable the the customers to transact digitally and be financially included. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gurushan sir. Ravi sir. over to you for your views.
Thank you. So I represent SIDBI, which is the principal MSME institution of the country. So for us, financial inclusion definitely means looking at the financial gaps of all the segment. While we talk MSME in a single breath, but they are very, very different things. The micro, small and medium, very different segments, and all have very different needs, and all also have a chance of getting excluded in their respective domains. So for the micro, of course, Sadaf talked about it, and SIDBI's role, I think ma'am said financial inclusion started 15 years ago, but I think for us it started 30 years ago when we started working with the microfinance institutions, seeding this industry right from scratch. There were no MFIs 30 years ago in the country, and there were NGOs, and it was SIDBI who seeded them, brought the ecosystem around it, rating system around it, and gave the money to the first original MFIs who have become very big banks now. So we played a very big role, and we see that as a success, that it's a very, very, very big industry today. And I would say that how the scenario has changed, I mean, today most of the MFIs who are there, they're not as a not-for-profit, financial inclusion as an objective. They're there because they see business there, because it's viable today to do and go and give credit to a low-income segment in a distant location in the country, and do it profitably because of the very smart digital kind of best-in-class infrastructure created in the country, which Mr. Bansal talked about. So today, that big institution creation is what SIDBI feels proud to have been associated with over the last 2 decades, which has become very big now. Very big second part of financial inclusion, I think, as people grow, small people, they just left behind, they get left behind if they don't have proper, collaterals and things like that for getting the next higher level of credit. It just does not end at 50,000. Then you need 5 lakhs, and then you need 10 lakhs, and you need 20 lakhs. So SIDBI manages, the 2 of the biggest guarantee corporations in the country. We manage CGTMSE, which has now guaranteed loans of nearly 4.9 lakh crores, nearly 70 lakh enterprises have been guaranteed through that. So it's a massive program that SIDBI manages with Ministry of MSME, one of the most orderly managed program for last 2-3 decades now. So it's not a new program, it's been running for now since 99. Then NCGTC also is managed by SIDBI. So these are very, very big, I would say, structural pieces which enable, innovation and financial inclusion. They create the enabling network, which is the role of a development financial institution. Now, apart from that, what we see today is, I think somebody mentioned that, today there is no clear record of how many enterprises are there. There's a number which gets floated around 6.3 crore enterprises, people who are doing something on their own, economic activity. But there's no, firm figure or a reliable or a credible figure for that. It's only very big units which have got registered on the Udyam. So SIDBI is now starting a program with ministry which we have already launched. We are calling it Udyam Assist, to create database of every single enterprise in the country, including the informal ones. See, today, great work has been done in, I would say, QR codes, which are very, very big enablers. Because, you start receiving money digitally, it was a huge thing. It was a big problem otherwise. But today, there is no single record of how many QR codes are there in the country. Because we don't have record of how many merchants are there. We have record of how many QR codes are there. 25 QR codes, 25 crore, but no merchants. So we are bringing a database which will enable digital access of all these informal enterprises. So we are just, as an institution, we work with different pieces. We work with kind of other segments also, but I would say it's great times for India. There are big pieces in place. Tech is in place. Support of government through guarantee programs is in place. There are very good institutions now who are supporting the growth, like IPPB and SIDBI. We are also planning to work together to give small loans to their customers. So it's so many things happening. I think.
Thank you, Ravi sir. I think amazing views, right? 30 years, 6 years, 5.5 years, right? Couple of decades, and 15 years, like it is a variety of things, and what kind of progress we have seen and how we are enabling the country is absolutely awesome, right? Let me move to, in the positive, like also time, right? I would like to ask maybe a couple of questions to each one of them so that we little deep dive on it, right? So maybe I'll start with one question, and anybody can choose to answer it. Actually, Open Credit Enablement Network. How is that helping FI, or how we can make that help FI, right? Because it's an important part of the overall scheme, and how can we use that, and how we can further enable that? Maybe Gurushran sir, and maybe ma'am after that to you.
So since we worked on it, and in fact, I'll just a little bit, what is the concept? And how is it's going to benefit both the borrowers as well as the lenders. The concept is that Open Credit Enablement Network is where it's a marketplace where the borrowers and the lenders are brought at a market, at a place. And thereby what happens is that, let's say for example, I have an account with SBI and or maybe with Bank of Baroda or HDFC, and I want to just take a quote for the best rates from maybe the market. So then what I'll do is I'll go to an open network, and I'll enable, let's say, the borrowers or the network aggregator to take the information about my financial background, so that there is a CIBIL rating and my cash flows, etc., and my salary accounts or whatever, and I'll enable that in a encrypted digital way, and then this information is passed out to financial information provider users, or that means the lenders who would probably want to lend to that person. So this information is floated out, and then the best quotes are given, and then according to the best quote, I can choose that where I want to borrow from. So this is beneficial both to the lenders also, because they have access to a much wider base, and this is beneficial to the borrower also, because then he can get the best rate or the best quotation. So this is very useful, and in fact people who don't have a credit history, or who just have some kind of cash flows but they don't have a CIBIL score, or who don't have any fixed income source, or a regular income source, for those kind of people it will be very beneficial.
Just a very good narrative. Just to add one line for the benefit of my participants, this open credit enablement network, this is going to create the same movement what UPI did for payment system. So for credit, similar kind of movement is going to be created. Today, if you look at the payment, digital payments, how digital payments are being done, how many digital payments are being done, and what is the contribution of UPI in that. 80% of the digital payments are being done on UPI platform. So 1,024 crore transactions were done in January. Out of that, over 800 transactions for that day. And additionally, if we talk about we were talking about financial inclusion, and say 200 crores payments were done under the AEPS system, Aadhaar Enabled Payment System. So they were all running on the back of the accounts which are being opened. So the accounts which have been opened, this open credit enabled network, this is going to create a great momentum in the credit history of the country.
In a way, it will kind of make it interoperable. Just
Absolutely.
like the payments are interoperable, credit will also become interoperable.
That's absolutely an innovation, right? In terms of how it will enable, and if it becomes like UPI, nothing to stop in terms of reachability. Ravi sir, I'm going to start with you on this. What is your views, and definitely on promoting products like financial leasing, right? To MSMEs, financial leasing, right? To MSMEs, how will it help the financial inclusion cause? Because if I look at, say, Japan, US, China, they are all anywhere between 1.5 to 2%, right? Whereas India is like less than, like about 0.2%. What is your views on that, and what do we need to do to improve it, or how we can use this as a product, right? And after that, anybody, Sadaf sir, if you want to add as well, right? Absolutely, that will be great.
So financial leasing as a product, it's not very prevalent in India. It's still not very big, because the financial lease and operational lease requires a lot of clarity about the regulation around it. So there are a couple of NBFCs now which are trying these products. See, they play on the kind of, I would say, companies or let's say an SMEs, willingness to have asset on its book, or having a asset which it uses and pays a financial lease. So there are there are benefits of tax and depreciation, and which brings up the overall economy, and not having the asset in your books. So now this is a complicated subject. It's very beneficial in the new age economy because people are using assets like computers, servers, furniture, fixtures, which you don't want to keep on your book, and it's an easier way of carrying these assets and financing these assets through a lease operator. But it is very, very fledgling in India, as you say, mostly globally in the Western world. The entire hardware is done through this leasing program, but not in India, because maybe the term loan is simpler, easier in terms of regulation. And I have seen financial lease transactions getting into legal issues also a lot of times. So I think clarity of regulation, maturity of regulation, and understanding about the products is the way forward for this.
Yeah, again, I echo Ravi sir's view. I think the biggest challenge is that in financial leasing, it's an asset-heavy model. So especially for an institution like an NBFC, where for every rupee that you lend, you have to have around 15% of that capital with you. So leasing becomes a little bit of a deterrent in that manner. And also, I think as an ecosystem, as I think it's evolving, it's not yet kind of mature in India. I think as the system evolves, we have had financial leasing and operational lease of various assets like computers. We have talked about mobile phone. We use it for our field staff and all of that. So that is possible. But I think what happens is your understanding of the asset also is very, very important. That asset that you are leasing has to be understood, should have a liquidating value, should have a recourse mechanism. So all of that is an evolving kind of an infrastructure phase. I think it should happen and would happen, and it'll be a great kind of an initiative for promoting entrepreneurship and industrialization of the economy. Definitely, I think China has taken the lead, but again, the whole thing comes back to like being an asset-heavy model. You need to have a large capital backing. So I think from a NBFC point of view, it will remain a little bit of a challenge. There are though different types of NBFC. RBI has created a category of leasing NBFCs also. Largely the lease model is there for commercial vehicles and vehicles because there is an understanding on the liquidity value. But I think to extrapolate it to many other aspects, I think it will take a little bit of time, but definitely possible.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. So I'm going to ask maybe one final question to all of you. If you have to choose one innovation that you will take up and do for the financial inclusion, inclusive growth in your area, what would be that innovation that you will recommend to your institution or to anybody for that matter? One single innovation which will change our growth, because we have to do more. We have done a lot and that's appreciated, but we have to do more. So how do we do the more? And what kind of one single innovation that you will, each one of you would recommend to everyone here, to the audience and to ourselves? Thank you for that.
From Bank of Baroda side, of course, this is my personal view. I would suggest, because I have felt it working in this department for a couple of years, I have felt that we actually know who are the excluded segments in terms of identification. So what I believe is some unique ID has to be created, or when we already have a unique ID, some linkage of the products have to be done with those unique ID so that we really know which is the excluded segment and in what respect they are excluded. Are they excluded for insurance or security? Are they excluded for credit? Or are they excluded for something else? So that can be really a game changer in the sense that we would know where we have to approach, whom we have to approach, whom we have to target, and actually the statistics will also get corrected. And whenever there is a duplication, etc., all these can also be avoided. A lot of operational cost can also be avoided. So we can really approach the target. Everybody, all these stakeholders can work together. Like already there is a lot of coordination between various stakeholders. Like if we talk about NPCI, if we talk about PFRDA, SIDBI or IDA or RBI, etc. So once that identification of excluded becomes, some sort of products can be designed, some sort of technical innovations or interruptions can be done to include them in our fold. Thank you.
I think great amount of work is getting done. Ravi sir alluded to some of the work that in terms of unique identity to each and every entrepreneur that SIDBI is trying to give through Udmi Mitra and Udmi registration. I think that is one. From our side, from Muthoot side, and from the customers that we dealt with, I spoke about like digital inclusion. So I think digital literacy is very, very important, and that has to be an emphasis by each and every ecosystem player. Because I think even though if we design products and we are able to take it to the last mile, unless the customer understands it and gets the right benefit out of it, we would not get that impact out there. Also, I think digital kind of inclusion and a lot of digital transaction also leads to vulnerability from cyber frauds and other type of frauds. So digital literacy is something which can act in a way of preventing any such situation. Another thing I think I would like to mention here, one initiative that we have done at Muthoot and a lot of other ecosystem players are also doing it, is we have understood from our borrowers, these are all small kind of really small entrepreneurs who are doing some vegetable vending, some kirana stores, and all ladies, by the way, 100%, 2.7 million of them. We have done an extensive survey from them and I understood from them what are their priorities. And for them, the first priority is health and well-being of the household. Second priority is education of the child. And the third priority is all financial access to loans and stuff like that. So health being the priority, I think there has to be an intervention there. And we are trying to do it we have tied up with a company, which is a Delhi-based company, Sure, Swas, they do it. They take to the last mile the consultancy of medical consultancy at the really rural level. So like you and I used Practo during COVID to consult a doctor. It is difficult to put an infrastructure of a dispensary and a doctor there, but what we can do is we bring technology and use it and enable a consultation with the doctor for those households. So we have done that among 1,100 branches of ours. Almost 400 branches have this facility, a small tab kept there with an Anganwadi lady who's there facilitating this interaction with the doctor, and there's a qualified doctor on the other side and giving medical advice. I think that is something which is need of the hour. I think for government to invest too much on the medical would be difficult and it'll take time, but I think private sector needs to take lead.
Very much. Sir,
So,
over to you.
the one thing that we are trying to look at is that, as you know that India Post itself over the years, they have almost 35 crore, accounts or the customers. And, but the process is all, physical. So what we want to do is kind of have a super app wherein, a person can actually open a post office savings account or an NSC or a KVP or a Sukanya Samriddhi account or a PPF, or pay the amounts for the recurring amounts for these savings, instruments, because they are sovereign, products. So therefore, a lot of people are interested in these products because of the, the sovereign guarantee and the safety and also good interest rates. But they are unable to do so because they have to physically go there. So we want to create a super app wherein a person can digitally operate and switch between IPPB and DOP applications, and they can invest seamlessly in these products sitting at home right from their app, so that it makes very convenient for the person and it attracts more and more people. And so we are working on that super app, and most likely, we are going to do that. Yeah, thank you.
So we've already, I think, talked about the Udyam registration of informal enterprises. Just for the information of the House, the Open Marketplace that they're talking, it's being created by SIDBI in collaboration with iSpert. So we are working on that and creating that. And I think one of the most passionate program which the whole organization is now working on is Prayas scheme. which is, I would say that now there is a very, very big and well-established group lending mechanism in the country, like Muthoot and so many very good institutions. There are crores and crores of members of these people. Now, when they require, we feel a lot of them are now ready to take the individual loan of 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, and do the next bigger thing as an enterprise activity, not an asset, not for house or something. And that's a very difficult loan still to get because they become too big for the microfinance institutions, and they're still too informal for the big banks because they'll still ask them to fill up a form and come assess their working capital in the way they do. So it's something which we are looking in a very big way. We have assisted nearly 1 lakh enterprises finally this year with the help of a lot of partner institutions, and Muthoot is also one of the very important partners there. And we are now looking to scale this up in a very, very big way with MFIs, with BC partners. We talked about it long back, but now we have a lot of BC partners, maybe with partnership with IPP. So we feel there's an India which is hungry for credit for growth. Typically, you can give them money, assess their current income, and give them money as what they can pay out of their current income. But they want to do little more, take some risk with them. They want to grow. They want a loan which is bigger than what they're doing today. That's the place, like big companies expand. These small people also require that loan. So this scheme is very important for us for this current year and next couple of years, and we're looking for very, very big partners across the industry for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the panel. And our time is up. I'll just take maybe a minute to summarize, right? Multiple things and very insightful, especially each one's innovation or the new ideas that they spoke about is, if we can get them all done, a super app and a Prayas scheme and right, in terms of digital inclusion to what ma'am spoke about, the segment-wise unique ID and a variety of things, right? And I would add one more, in my view, right? I would say that for digital inclusion and truly financial inclusion to be successful, we need to have a lot more focus on security and trust. That is what the other countries have done to make sure that you can go more towards digital inclusion, and that way will enable more financial inclusion, more trusted and absolutely secure, right? There is no problem about your money, there is no worry, and there is no cyber frauds and things like that. So that is an important area that as a country we need to focus on, and we need to spend a lot of effort on to get that in order, right? So I would say that that will enable us all of this and much more to come, right? And much more that we would be doing as a country will believe that the unbanked will get banked, and also we will aspire to, growth-oriented credit, which is again awesome. It's not credit for the sake of just borrowing for immediate needs, but also the ability to take the little risk to grow, and that way the country will grow, right? And that is what we need to aspire for and enable it. And with that, thank you, panel. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your time, and thanks for this opportunity to be here moderating this.
See, lot of young person, including everybody, is ordering services or product online.
Okay.
So there's a big amount. I don't know what is the figure.
Right.
They say it is in lakhs of
Right.
crores of rupees. Would you like to refinance that revenue-based this thing?
Yeah, this is part of the lending framework. Overall. No, we are not doing it. Currently, we are not doing it, but we can consider that. We can refinancing. No, but we will do it through the lending part.
The government says that 2 lakh crore of worth of services and products have been procured under the Public Procurement Act under GEM scheme.
Right.
So most of the supply is from the micro small unit.
Correct.
And they are, they are not getting finance, and it takes more than 3 months, 4 months to get the payment.
Right.
So under that Delayed Payment Act, if you like to, once I make the supply and I get the certificate कि आपका supply आ गया, immediately I should get refinance उसका.
Automate करने के लिए.
It will be a big relief to these micro जिनका छोटा turnover.
Right. So on the GEM, I think they are working on the credit for the the suppliers. So they are working on it, although it's not coming directly under our purview. but I've heard that they are working on it and they're trying to arrange credit for the suppliers and the vendors. The GEM portal itself or the GEM organization is trying to work on it. And in terms of the payments, they are very strict in terms of, itna timeline ke beech mein aapko dena hi hai, otherwise we are also answerable. And there are certain reports that we have to give to the government every quarter कि आपने कितनी कोई पेमेंट आपने डिले किया है और अगर किया है तो क्यों किया उसके पूरा रीज़न देना पड़ता है. So it's a very, very strict regimen that we have to follow.
My question, please, is regarding grievance redressal. Just suppose if we take loan from some bank, so bank, example, if we want to foreclose, bank may unauthorizedly charge foreclosure charges. Means how to keep these bank institutions like banks, Paytm, if there are some unauthorized payments, how can we track the unauthorized payments? How to implement this redressal?
It should be.
All of the banks have their ombudsperson. So
Yeah.
you can write to the ombudsman. The details of the ombudsmen are always there on the bank's website. So if the bank is not responding, then the next level of escalation is the ombudsman. And if that also does not, then obviously the regulator.
Regulator, right? Ombudsman is the next
Clear
step.
escalation matrix.
Matrix is there for this and you can handle this. And with this, in the paucity of time, I think we have already overrun. Thank you for the questions. Anything to the panelists, if they are going to be available outside for maybe offline, you can converse or you can connect with them because the next session and the next panelists are waiting. So I thank the audience a lot and we conclude the panel now. Thank you very much.